Raymond Ellis wasn't a rich man. He didn't wear fancy suits, drive a shiny car, or own half the town like the politicians who sat in City Hall. Raymond was a blacksmith. For 40 years, his life was fire, iron, and sweat. In a small workshop at the edge of his family's land, he forged tools for farmers, repaired gates for neighbors, and even shaped the custom hinges for the very courthouse where the city officials sat. His shop wasn't much, just a big steel shed, soot-stained walls, and a roof patched more times than he could count. But inside, that place was alive. Sparks flying, the hiss of hot metal, the smell of coal. It was more than a business. It was his pride. The notice. One morning, Raymond walked out with his coffee and found something nailed to the door. A bright orange paper flapping in the wind. Notice of condemnation. Property scheduled for demolition. Raymond's heart sank. The city had decided his land was in the way of a new commercial expansion. They wanted wide roads, sleek glass buildings, and a shopping mall that promised jobs and growth. To them, his workshop was just a pile of scrap metal. To him, it was his life. He appealed. He wrote letters. He went to hearings. But every time, the answer was the same. Progress can't wait. You'll be compensated fairly. Fair? The number they offered wasn't even enough to build a new shed, let alone rebuild 40 years of work. Raymond knew the truth. The city wasn't expanding. They were erasing him. The demolition. Weeks later, he stood helpless on the side of the road as the bulldozers came. Neighbors watched from their porches. Some shook their heads in pity. Others smiled, happy to see the eyesore gone. The machines roared, metal crunched, sparks flew. By sundown, the shop was gone. Raymond's forge, his anvil, the tools his father had passed down, all buried under a mountain of rubble. The city men clapped each other on the back and drove off, leaving dust and silence behind. That night, Raymond sat on the ground where his shop once stood. His hands, black with soot, trembled with anger. They thought they could just push him aside. They thought he had nothing left. But the city had made a mistake. A mistake they didn't even realize. The strip of land. Decades ago, when Raymond's grandfather sold parts of the family farm, he kept a thin strip of property running for miles. It was narrow, no wider than 12 feet, but it stretched right beneath the power lines that fed the entire town. Those humming wires, those steel towers, all of it crossed land that Raymond now legally owned. The city never bothered to buy it. They assumed no one cared about a thin strip of dirt under the lines. Until now. Raymond spent the next week building a tall steel gate across the strip. On it, he welded a heavy lock and hung a sign, "Private property. No access without permission." The blackout. At first, no one noticed. Life went on. But then, one hot summer afternoon, the lights flickered. The grocery store's freezers went dark. Traffic signals stopped working. Families sat in stifling heat as their air conditioners shut down. The power company rushed crews to fix it. Trucks rolled up to the spot and stopped. There it was, Raymond's gate, locked tight, his name on the deed. The workers called headquarters. "We can't get in. It's private property." The city panicked. They called Raymond. "Mr. Ellis, we need access to your land immediately. This is a public emergency." Raymond's voice was calm. "You tore down my shop. You destroyed my work. And now you want to use my land for free? They threatened him with lawsuits. He laughed. Go ahead. My deed is ironclad. You should have checked before you destroyed my life. Chaos. Within days, the entire town was in crisis. The new mall project, the one they destroyed his workshop for, sat unopened, useless, without electricity. Restaurants tossed out spoiled food. Gas stations couldn't pump fuel. Hospitals ran on generators, rationing power hour by hour. The mayor held emergency meetings. Citizens flooded City Hall, demanding answers. And every time, one name came up. Raymond Ellis. The turnaround. Finally, the mayor himself drove to Raymond's house. He came with lawyers, officials, even the press. Cameras rolling. He tried to talk tough. Mr. Ellis, the town cannot function like this. We need you to unlock that gate. Raymond stood tall, his soot-stained hands folded across his chest. You needed me before. You just didn't know it. The mayor sighed. What do you want? Raymond's voice didn't shake. I want what you took from me. Fair compensation for my workshop. An apology. And one more thing. You name that new shopping center after my family. The Ellis Center. So no one ever forgets who held the power in this town. The mayor resisted. The lawyers argued. But with cameras rolling, with the whole town watching, they had no choice. Justice. The next week, headlines blared across the county. City settles with Blacksmith over power crisis. New mall to be named Ellis Center. The lights came back on. Life returned to normal. But nothing was ever the same. Because every time people drove past that shiny new shopping plaza with its glowing neon sign that read Ellis Center, they remembered the man who taught the city a hard lesson. The man they tried to erase. The man who reminded them that respect is not optional. Raymond Ellis, the man who owned the power lines.